Welcome to What Are You Sporting About podcast, a podcast about business, employment, sports, and entertainment to help educate, support, and guide you to your next level. Here's your host, attorney Sivonnia DeBarros.
Hello, everybody. Hello. How are you all doing this afternoon? If you are watching this live, thank you so much for joining me here to talk about an issue that I'm seeing a lot in our younger generation. And I want to help specifically in this episode college athletes to recognize this issue, avoid falling into this hole, and what to do to ramp up this issue so that it serves you long term. So before I dive into this subject matter for today, again, I want to welcome you all for joining me here live for another episode of What Are You Sporting About? If you have not subscribed to this podcast, look, whatever platform you enjoy getting and hearing your podcast on, make sure you subscribe so you are always alerted when I am going new or creating a new episode so you don't miss anything. Every week, we are bringing experts and content that can help motivate you and support you to your very next level. And so I don't want you to miss out on that. All right. So for those who know me and those who may not, my name is Sivonnia DeBarros. I am also a protector of athletes. At least that's what people know me as or know me by. But in addition to that, I also own a law firm called the S.L. DeBarros Law Firm. At that firm, I represent six-figure plus. That's also like people who are grossing and making $100,000 or more. They could be multi-six-figure business owners as well as seven-figure. Those are people who are generating $1 million minimum in their business. I help them to increase their bottom line by boosting their legal protection. So all in all, I am the attorney who supports and represents multi-million dollar businesses and brands by helping them to shield the bag they've already protected. Come on now. Come on. How many of you out there know you have $1 million brand? How many of you know you have $1 million brand? Let me know. And before I go or move further, I want you to let me know where you're watching live from. If you are catching this on the replay, then post it in the comments. Hey, I'm catching this on the replay. And let me know if the information I share throughout this particular episode resonates with you, if it's something that you know you can share with someone that is a part of your community. So now just a little bit more about me. I've been featured and quoted in major publications like WGN9, CBS, ABC. I've been quoted in Forbes. I've been featured in Authority Magazine, BuzzFeed, a number of podcasts, all around helping and supporting athletes and business owners to increase their protection and also kind of move out of the constricts, the confines that keep a lot of us stuck and unable to really move in purpose-driven ways that we are destined to. All right. So what I want to share with you all today is a common mistake that I am seeing. And you know what? I don't even know if I can call it a mistake, but there's an issue or a trap that I feel like our younger generation is falling into. And this is the issue of entitlement. The issue of entitlement. Okay. I'm seeing a lot of younger people having the characteristics of being entitled. Now, there are pros and there are cons to this. I recently ran into an article, a Forbes article, that talked about the good, the bad, and the ugly of this particular issue, right? So let's start with some of the goods that I see in the younger generation who may come off as entitled. One thing is they're not afraid to demand what they feel like they should have. There are a lot of people who are afraid to just even step up, stand up for themselves, self advocate for the things that they know that they should have. So that is a great quality, to know that you have a voice and you can self advocate for the things that you believe you should have, right? That you believe you have deserved, right? You've worked hard for it. Um, the younger generation who is entitled, another pro is that they may be more apt to negotiating their pay rates. Okay. um so those are definitely some good qualities, as well as possibly being more creative. All right, now here's the ugly here's the ugly about being entitled, is that you typically, or people who you may know as entitled, they come off as extremely selfish. They take risky challenges or break the rules. Um, and sometimes they don't care who it may hurt, right? That ties us back into the issues of being selfish. They can break the rules, but they don't care how this ricochets off into someone else, how it's going to hurt the next person that they may be indebted to. Okay. So that's a con about it. Um here's what I want to share with you to get you in the mind of thinking about, am I that person who is so entitled, or the people around me see me as entitled to the point that they don't really want anything to do with me? Or am I the individual who I may have certain characteristics of entitlement, but I use those particular characteristics to further my success and where I am in my life? Right. So I want you to start kind of figuring out, first off, am I entitled? And if I am, which side of the aisle am I technically on, or am I leaning towards more, one than the other? So look, there was a study that showed millennials born between 1988 and 1994, they scored 25% higher in entitlement related issues than people who are between the age of 40 and 60, right? And then they scored 50% higher than those who are over 60. So from there, we know that there's so many different things that has changed really from generation to generation. But if you're looking at people who are around 60 years old, and you can even say 40 years old, there's a lot that has happened between a 20 to 40 year gap between individuals, right? So you really want to try and figure out, am I entitled to the point that it can cost me amazing opportunities? Or am I entitled in a way where I know I deserve to have a thing and I'm not going to stop at anything until I get it? Those are two different types of issues. What I want you to take away from this is, no one owes you anything. No one owes you anything. And where you currently are in your life, whether it be good or bad, it's no one's fault, right? It's no one's fault about where you currently are in your life. You are not entitled to anything that anyone else may possess that you feel like you need. But what you can do is empower yourself to make sure you are putting yourself in the position to retain resources, to ask for the help, to do the work of knowing thyself and what will help you to reach your next level. You can do that, but you are not entitled to something that belongs to someone else. And often I see younger people get this wrong. They demand something without wanting to do the work. Okay. I have this conversation with a lot of professionals, business owners, lawyers, a lot about how people show up in the workplace sometime, and they feel entitled to want to receive this paycheck, but they haven't actually done the work. They don't even want to do the work. They just feel entitled to it. Okay. That's like me saying, oh, you should give me a law degree, but I shouldn't have to go to law school to be able to do it. Actually, I shouldn't even have to go to law school or pass the bar to be a lawyer. You should just give me the degree, right? And then tell everybody else that I passed the bar. I know that's an extreme example, but sometimes the con side of entitlement, that's how we see it. People who show up and they say that they deserve a thing, but they haven't put in any form of equity, no sweat equity. They haven't invested not the slightest bit of their time in making sure that they really and truly deserve the thing that they are demanding. All right. So one, you could probably recognize whether you are falling into the bad side of entitlement by asking the people who you are around. Like, what do they even think about you? Do you give off those vibes? Right? If there are individuals that you thought you could count on before, but they've seemed to kind of just shy away from you, is that a sign of you being too entitled? Have you gone in and broken the rules and taken risks where it hurt the other people that were around you? Okay. You want to take note of that. You definitely want to take note of that. And the good side of it is you can still ask the people who are around you, what do you think about, what do you think about this particular characteristic of me? Do you think I take risky chances? Do you think that it's something that serves me? Do you think it's coming from a confident place? Or do you think it's coming from a very entitled place? And we see this type of personality on both sides, right? Both sides of the entitlement coin, if you will. We see how it play out into the general population, people who are in positions of power, if you will. How the bad side of entitlement has a major cost to the rest of the people who are going to feel the negative impact of the decisions that are made from that selfish part of entitlement. All right. So, as a college athlete, and I'm speaking to college athletes on this episode, no one owes you anything, but you do have the opportunity to ask for what you believe you want, but also to do the work for what you believe you should have. Right. We can't expect to plant a tree seed and see that a tree is going to be fully developed and grown and broken through the ground in one day. Everything takes time. First, you have to plant your seed, you have to water it, you have to check on it, right? You have to make sure it has enough light and air and all those good things. And you also have to make sure that whatever you are planting, now I'm taking this into the real life, right? Whatever you are planting is in its due season. Not everything is going to show a sprout. Not everything is going to come to full fruition as soon as it's planted. That's just not how life works. So you have to be diligent enough, you have to be committed enough, and you have to be consistent enough to know that even when I plant my seed, I may not get a harvest until, let's say, maybe a year from now, maybe even 2 years from now. Sometimes your harvest may come 5 years from now. But the defining factor is you weren't sitting and crying about what you felt you deserved. You went out there and you did what you needed to do. You mined the seed that you planted. And when you are able to reap that harvest, it will mean more to you because one, you did that. You did the work. You didn't sit around begging for someone else to do it for you, and you didn't demand something that you hadn't earned. So don't fall into that trap. Do not fall into that trap. And I want to empower you all. I know that we are living in a different time, and especially for those who may be transitioning to college or currently in college, right? you've grown up into a time that is much different from where myself and my peers have even grown up in. And no, I'm not super old, okay? I'm up there a little bit. But you get my point, okay? You get my point. Um, we have to be diligent enough to work for the things that we believe in. And as you mature and grow and you transition into different areas of your life, you will see how those things will also take shape and change. Okay. And it doesn't mean that you have to abandon the seed that you planted. You planted it for a reason. If it was something that you desire to do, then keep paying attention to it. Keep minding that, because it could be something that supports you later in life into different endeavors. But no one, no one, okay, has to give you anything, but you have all the power to go and get it yourself. And that is the good part of entitlement, right? You can demand yourself to move and to do what is necessary so that you can reap the harvest that you absolutely want. But no one is going to owe you anything. And the sooner we can recognize that, we can minimize the issue of hurt feelings and having mental breakdowns because certain things didn't go our way, right? People have these breakdowns a lot because they feel entitled to a particular outcome when that outcome was never predestined for you. We have these huge upsets because we think that one person or another, they should have done this or they should have done that. Was there an expectation of that, or were you just being entitled? Do not fall into that trap. You have everything that you need to lay the foundation for yourself, right? And sometimes those things may be the people who are already around you, the educational resources that you can go and pour yourself into so you can fully develop who you are and who you be. Okay. So I want to help you not fall into that trap. I want you to understand, if you start coming off that way, I want you to take a step back and recognize, like, okay, whoa, this is a really bad sense of entitlement here. Let me take a step back and see what I can do for me from my side, right? To create the framework or the foundation that will serve me in my life. And to recognize that even doing the work, it doesn't mean that things are going to change immediately. It may mean that it's going to be years from now. It could be a month from now, right? The last thing I want to say about this is show gratitude. When let me just say this, y'all. Okay, so I've already said no one owes you anything. But one thing I've recognized with younger people is that someone can do something for you and you would never say thank you. That is a sign of entitlement. You may think, well, this person just should have done it anyway. Like, I deserved it. So, yeah, they need to give it to me. I don't have to say thank you. Say thank you anyway. Just show gratitude. Gratitude is like fire. It's like fire. You set a fire, man. If anything's close or connected to it, it's going to catch on fire too. People love gratitude. It makes them feel good. They want to do a good thing. People just generally want to do good. And so when you show gratitude and you say thank you, even though you may think you don't have to, what ends up happening is that gratitude catches on fire with a person that has received that thank you. And now they're like, you know what? This person appreciates me. They appreciate what I do. I want to help them more. And what that does is it closes the gap on where you currently are and where you want to be, because now you have someone that you've pulled into your camp who can be your champion and who can champion you on later in life. And that's how relationships start to form and build. If you guys came to the NIL Combine, if you didn't, make sure you get your all access pass. You can do that by going to bit.ly/NIL Combine-all access. But we had a professional athlete who provided a keynote, and she was talking about relationships. Shout out to Tanika Rubin. She was talking about relationships and how relationships are bridges. And sometimes, here's the problem with entitled people who are negatively entitled. Okay. They don't realize, they make excuses for everything, and they feel like any particular talent, pure talent that they have and that they bring to the table is going to be the only thing that keeps them where they are, that keeps them in the room. And whenever an issue comes up, these particular people never take ownership of anything that they do wrong. It's always other people's problems, right? And so what ends up happening is those relationships begin to get tattered and broken. And these individuals start cutting people off and all of these things. And so essentially, what they are doing is they're starting to break down this bridge that they previously had. Here's the aha moment I had when Tanika gave her keynote. I'm telling y'all got to go and get this all access pass and listen to this, because this thing is fire. Okay. But she said relationships are like bridges. And when you burn a bridge, you are essentially burning an opportunity. Come on, somebody. But entitled people can't see that. They cannot see how the relationship can lead to an opportunity. They can't see it. Now, when I applied for law school, there were a lot of different variables that was taken into consideration to determine whether I would be a good fit for law school, right? But inside of my packet was also letters of recommendations from my athletic director, from my deans at my colleges and universities. Before I got ready to graduate, I had letters of recommendations from the deans of my law school. A dean who was, oh my gosh, I think he ran a department at the school. One of my deans who was also a trial attorney. Think about how I built those relationships and how they led to people championing me on in my soon to be profession at the time, and how that also possibly had something to do with the doors that have been open for me. What if I had burned those bridges because I got mad at something that someone told me that I needed to hear, right? Would that have been me just being entitled and feeling like, oh, well, they just don't know what they're talking about, I'm going to get what I want? Sometimes we need to stop and listen. And we need to listen to those who currently have the things that we think we want in life, and take those meaty lessons that are going to help us to develop as people. I had a conversation earlier today on a planning call that, sometimes we get into this rut of thinking that success is measured by money, but really is measured by who you are, who you be, and the relationships that you build, right? The relationships that you build. If you look at some of the most famous hip hop artists and major actors who are on the scenes, it took some of these people 10, 20 years just so you can know their name. So what make you think, right, that timeline is going to be a lot shorter? You still have to do the work. It could be, but that also means that showing up with a negative, entitled characteristic and personality, demanding that other people do things for you that you're not even willing to do yourself, is just a pipe dream. It's only a pipe dream. And when things don't work out the way that you want, you can't blame anyone else but yourself. And so we have to take ownership. We have to take ownership for how we've injured ourselves, because it's no one else's fault. We can't set expectations. I had to learn this myself, y'all. We cannot set expectations around people and things that have never been communicated that it belonged to us. You can't do that. You set yourself up for failure, and you set yourself up for a mental and emotional breakdown each and every time it does not work out. Okay? So don't fall into the trap. Recognize if you are leaning that way, but you can also get intel on the people who are currently surrounding you. who are currently surrounding you, ask them, what do you think about my personality? Do you think I come off as an entitled person? Right? Or do you think I'm a go-getter? Do I demand what I want that I know is rightfully owed and due to me? Like, have I actually done the work for it? Get their opinion. And do not be upset when you get a real and true answer. True friends, real friends, are going to tell you the hard things that you may not want to hear, but you need to hear them and take it in stride. Sometimes there are things that are said to me, and I'm like, oof, that cut. But it wouldn't cut so deeply if it didn't hit and strike my spirit, right? We got to take those hard lessons and those words from the people who truly do care about us and who love us and who want to see us do well in our life and start to do the work. Now, when the sting is over, we got to do the work so that we can achieve the success that we desire and that we want, knowing that no one owes it to us. So, listen, if you have not gotten your all access pass to the 2022 NIL Combine, I want to invite you to go now and get your access. You can do that by going to bit.ly/NIL Combine -all access. That is bit.ly/NIL Combine -all access. Make sure those words are in all caps and you'll be able to order your all access pass there. Do not miss out on the amazing information, advice, support, and tips to help you get an edge in your life and business, guys. Until next time, I will check you guys later. I'm Sivonnia DeBarros, the protector of athletes. And as always, it is a pleasure to educate you, motivate you, and support you to your next level. Ciao.
For joining us this week on What Are You Sporting About podcast. Make sure to visit our website, prosportlawyer.com, where you can subscribe to the show in iTunes, Stitcher, or whatever your favorite platform is, so you'll never miss a show. And while you're at it, if you found value in the show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes or iHeartRadio. Or if you'd simply tell a friend about the show, that would help us out too. If you like the show, you might want to check out our book, What Are You Sporting About? Attorney Sivonnia DeBarros is available for private consulting at sldebarros.com. And remember, we're here to educate, support, and guide you in your journey to success because we're all sporting about something.